So this is the tier list for all the characters in Game of Thrones in season 1. I'm planning to do this for every season. Even though I read the books and I like the books more, I think we should do it according to the show. But I might have biases from the book. I might have biases for characters on how their character is like in the books. So let's see how it will go. The first one is Bran Stark. Bran is such a lovely little fella in this season 1. He's so cute, and it's really heartbreaking when Jaime hits him and threw him down the window. He loses his legs. It was like even the first episode of Game of Thrones. It was such a heartbreaking moment. Bran Bran was so cute in the first season. He was also a climber, which I am also a climber. So I will vote Bran highly. I think he will go to A tier. He was such a pity that he was broken. He was a cool guy. Tyrion, on the other hand, is also he was always a fan favorite from the start. I think I never remember a time when people didn't like Tyrion. He was always one of the favorites. In season 1, he wasn't the S character, the super character he was, maybe, but he was still an A character. He was one of the best characters still. He was one, he had an intelligence, a good sense of humor. He also even slapped Joffrey in the first season, right? If I remember correctly, it was in the first season. So just because of that slap, I think he can go to S. Now Arya. Arya is also one of the fan favorites. Everybody liked Arya. I also liked Arya. She was a good character. She was a fierce little child. She was a cool character. She was a good representation of a strong female character, and she was also a child. So Game of Thrones had many strong female characters in the show, but I think the strongest one might be Arya. At the end of the season 1, she saw her father die, but other than that, what did she do? She wanted to learn sword, I think, from a master from Syria Forel, and she was really fighting hard for it. She was told to do feminine things, but she wanted to fight with swords. So she made her father accept it, made her father find him a good sword master, and she started learning how to fight. I think this was admirable, and I think season 1 might be my favorite Arya season. Yeah, I think it is my favorite Arya season. I think I can put her in S for sure. Littlefinger. Littlefinger was a cunning character from the start. Nobody trusted him. And also, he betrayed Ned Stark. He betrayed him good. Littlefinger, we never knew what he planned for this. It was a good character design. We know he was in love with Catelyn. We learned this about him. But there was not much to him. He was always this just mysterious character who abandoned, betrayed Ned Stark. So it will go to the B tier, I think. For season 1, I think so. Khal Drogo, another fan favorite. Another fan favorite. Oh, everybody hated him at the start. He raped Daenerys Targaryen. He raped Dany, but they started a love story. It was a weird story. I think people started liking him when he killed Viserys Targaryen. I don't know, yeah. These two had a weird dynamic. I think we can still safely say, even though he was a one-dimensional, just strong character, they also tried to make him not as one-dimensional, because he had a little they showed him that he has heart. He cares for Dany in a barbaric way, in a way that a Dothraki can. I think that's the most a Dothraki can. I remember Dany's face when they said, in a Dothraki wedding, there's at least 3 deaths. So this guy, for a guy from a Dothraki, he was fierce and he was also lovable for his relationship with Dany, I think. Yeah. It was heartbreaking also when he died. But I will still put him in B tier because I don't think he has much depth, his character. Littlefinger has much more depth. I just didn't see much from him in the first season. Yeah. Dany in the first season was just a lost child with her dragon eggs. The dragon eggs hatched at the end of the season 1, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Dany, I don't know. I never know how to rank Dany, but I think he was not so special. I think he can go to C tier. Varys was a cool character. He was mysterious, like Littlefinger, but he was much more mysterious. The scenes with Littlefinger and Varys was so cool. Everybody liked to see them when they meet at the throne room and discussed about politics. I think we always knew Littlefinger was bad, but his intentions were bad. Everybody could see this. But from Varys, you could never understand what his motives were. So I think this makes him slightly more interesting than Littlefinger. Sir Baratheon. Yeah, no, Baratheon. What was his name? I forgot his name. The master swordsman that Joffrey put out of work because he was too old. What was his name? I don't remember his name. Anyway, we know he is a master swordsman. We know he's old, and we know Joffrey said, "You're old. You can't do this." So this is it. This is everything we know from him for the first season. I even forgot his name. Oh God! Even though he was a big character in the 5th book. Oh, what was his name? Okay. Anyway, I'll put him in D. Just because I forgot his name, this means he doesn't deserve anything better than a D. Robert Baratheon, an old fierce warrior who got drunk, who doesn't like his life, who doesn't like his wives too much, who doesn't like running, who doesn't like the boring job running a kingdom. He doesn't like those stuff. This is his character portrayal. All he wanted to was eat and sleep with women and drink. I think it's a C tier character. Ned Stark. honorable man, the honorable fool, the main character of the season 1, the father of Starks. I think he was a boring character from the get-go. Yeah. Jon Snow, a child, a Stark. He someone like he's not a Stark. He's a bastard. He doesn't fit. He doesn't feel like he fits in with the Starks. He chooses the Night's Watch. A lost child. In the books, Jon Snow is like 14, I think, in the first book. 14 or 13. He's really small. He's a little boy. But in the show, he looks like an older person. For a 14-year-old to act like what he did is understandable. I can understand that. But in the show, he doesn't. No. It's not the portrayal of him when I read it in the books. But let's not talk about the books now. In the show, Jon Snow was a little boring, wasn't he? Or am I the one? I just thought Jon Snow was another boring character. Nothing happened with him. Did it? I think I liked Ghost more than Jon Snow. His direwolf was more interesting, I think. So I'll put him in D, where his father is, let's say, stepfather. Jaime Lannister. Jaime became one of my favorite characters in the show later on. But at the first season, he was just a bratty prince, charming type of character. I hated his guts in the first season. Catelyn is even more boring than Eddard Stark, I think. He was just extremely boring. Cersei, oh, the character you love to hate. One of the worst characters in a show that I've seen. She was just a definition of a bitch. But she was a cool bad character. She was, I don't know, I don't see Joffrey in this list. Joffrey, why? I don't know why, but Joffrey, if he was here, I would have put him in A because I loved to hate him. He was such an hateable character. It's hard to make a character that hateable. So Joffrey would deserve at least an A. But Cersei was at least as hateable as Joffrey, I think, or like close to him at least. So I think I can put her in B because of the success of the character, I think. Jorah Mormont. In the first season, he was Robert Baratheon's agent. He was trying to kill Dany, but then he fall in love with Dany. I think it's not an interesting story. It was not an interesting story in season 1. I remember. Okay, maybe after some time spent after season 2 and on, it was an interesting story. But at first season, it was just. I think it was dull. His story was. When I seen him, I didn't feel anything. So I think I will put him in D tier. Viserys Targaryen was another one. Was such an hateable character, just like Joffrey, but still, it was so easy to hate him. Joffrey was easy to hate as well, but for some reason, Viserys also seemed powerless. Like Joffrey is hateable, and untouchable because he's the king of all of Westeros. But Viserys was hateable and just the lousy guy who thought of himself very highly, but who had nothing. So I think he's not a really good character. He died early too, so I'll put him in F. The only good thing about him, the way he died, was really revolutionary. It was a really creative way to die. So I think just because of that, he can be a C tier, maybe just because of his death. Sansa, I think she was maybe even more boring than her mother. I think in the first season, wasn't she? Yeah, yeah. I think so. And I think that's about it.